Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me to introduce myself. My name is Novia Putri Ramadani. I want to present the result of my research with the title of The Influence of Digital Literacy, Learning Media, and Online Learning on the Learning Outcomes of students of the Faculty of Ekonomi, State University of Jakarta, semester 113. The methodology in my research is the first, the study used quantitative research methods with a correlational approach using multiple linear regression analysis model, and the second, primary data obtained from distributing independent and dependent variable questionnaires, and the subjects in the study were students of economics education class 2018 until 2020 in semester 113. The theoretical framework in this study has a dependent variable is digital literacy as x1, learning media as x2, and the online learning as x3, and the independent variable is outcome learning as. The respondent description. Based on table 4.1, there are 196 respondents and 56 people, or 26% come from the class classification of cooperative economics education A, and cooperative economics education B is 87 people, or 44%, and accounting education 53 people, or 27%, and when viewed from the generation perspective, it shows that of the 196 respondents, 50 people, or 26%, come from the 2018 batch, and 78 people, or 40%, from the 2019 batch, and 53 people, or 35% from the 2020 batch. The description of research variable is the table 4.3 above shows that the mean value for the digital literacy variable is 62.56. In the high category, learning media is 39.32. In the high category, online learning is 65.05 in the high category, and research learning as mean of 3 and research learning has a mean of 3.5 included in the predicate very satisfying. This shows that on average, students of economics education faculty of Economics State University of Jakarta batch 2018 until 2020 have a high level of digital literacy and online learning and learning media that run is in semester 113 produce very satisfying cognitive learning outcomes for some students. And the description of student cognitive learning outcomes in the table 4.4 shows that in the tendency of students cognitive learning outcomes, there are 3 students without predicate in semester 130, 4 students with satisfactory predicate, and 35 students with very satisfactory predicate, and 154 students with honors in semester 113 in the 2018 until 2020 Faculty of Economics Education Study Program Economics State University of Jakarta. It can be concluded the most students of the 2018 until 2020 Economics Education Study Program Faculty of Economics State University of Jakarta have a semester achievement index score of 130 with honors. The validity and reliability test of digital literacy based on the table above. It is known that from the 18 statement items that were tested, there was 15 valid items that had been filled in by 30 respondents, and the value of R table is 0.361. It can be concluded that 15 statements are valid because the result of R counts more than R table with an error rate of 5%. This stage that the 15 items of the digital literacy variable statement are declared valid and can be used to measure the aspect studied accurate. Based on the result of the reliability calculation that have been carried out, the Cronbach alpha value is 0.823, and 3 more than 0.5. And so these results indicate that the digital literacy instrument can be used and is reliable. And the validity and reliability test of learning media. Based on the table above, it is known that there are 9 statement items that have been tested, which have been filled out by 30 respondents, and the value of our table is 0.36 and 1. Judging from the results of the validation of the learning media variable, that the 6 statements are valid and have error counts more than a table with an error rate of 5%, it is declared valid and can be used to measure the XP studies accurately. Based on the result of the reliability calculation that have been carried out, the Cronbach alpha value is 0.767, more than 0.5. So this research indicates that the learning media instrument can be used and is reliable. And this is validity and reliability test of online learning. Based on the table above, it is known that there are 21 statement items that were tested. There are 15 valid items that have been filled in by 30 respondents, and it is known that the value of our table is 0.36 and 1. It can be concluded that 15 statements are valid because the result of our count more than our table with an error rate of 5%. This states that the 15 items of the digital literacy variable statement are declared valid and can be used to measure the aspects studied accurately. Based on the results of the reliability calculation that have been carried out, the Cronbach alpha value is 0.86 and 9, more than 0.6. So these results indicate that the online learning instrument can be used and is reliable. And the final research is normality data. In figure 4.4 shows that the output of the normality test calculation states that the data from all variables in the study, namely learning outcomes, digital literacy, learning media, and online learning, are normally distributed. The data can be proven by the significance value contained in significancy to tell of 0.200 more than 0.05. From the results of this calculation, it can be concluded that the data used by the researchers is normally distributed. And the linearity of x1 with y from the table, it can be seen then that the significance value of deviation from linearity between digital literacy and cognitive learning outcomes is 0.118 more than 0.05. So it can be concluded that the variable digital literacy with student learning outcomes has a linear relationship. And it can be seen that the significance value of deviation from linearity between learning media and cognitive learning outcomes is 0.741 more than 0.05. So it can be concluded that the variable of learning media with student learning outcomes has a linear relationship. And it can be seen that the significance value of deviation from linearity between online learning and cognitive learning outcomes is 0.080 more than 0.05. So it can be concluded that the online learning variable with student learning outcome has a linear relationship. Multicollinearity test. Based on the output above, it can be seen that the tolerance value of the digital literacy variable is 0.341 more than 0.10, and the VIF value is 2.933 less than 10. The learning media variable is 0.37 and 1 more than 0.10, and the VIF value is 0.699. The online learning variable is 0.379 more than 0.10, and the value is 0.379 more than 0.10, and VIF less than 10. So it can be concluded that the regression model in the study does not occur multicollinearity. And based on the scatter plot image above, it can be seen that the points spread with an angular pattern which is above the number 0 on the y-axis, it indicates that there is no symptom of heteroscedasticity. And the multiple linear regression test. From the table above it can be seen in the Eustanderitz coefficients, it can be determined the multiple linear regression equation resulting from the study as follows. Y is 3.741 plus 0.001 as x1 plus 0.010 as x2 plus minus 0.008 as x3 plus error. The regression equation above can show the relationship between the independent variable and dependent variable partially. And this t-test, based on the result of the t-test above, it can be seen that the t-count of digital literacy is 0.284 and the t-table is 1.6531 and H at a significance of 0.05 with df is NK minus 1 or df is 188 minus 3 minus 1 is 134. Then the t-table is 1.643 and 18. Thus, it can be concluded that t-count less than t-table and significance, meaning that there is no relationship between digital literacy and learning outcomes. It can be seen that t-count learning media is 2.2009 and t-table is 1.65318 at a significance of 0.05 with GF. Then the t-table is 1.065318. This it can be concluded that t-count more than t-table and significance. Known that t-count online learning is minus 3.154 and t-table at 0.05 significance with t-table 1.65318 and 0.08 significance with the f 188 minus 3 minus 1 is 184. Then option t-table 1.0653118. This it can be concluded that t-count more than t-table and significance, meaning its learning media has a positive and significance. The effect and online learning has a significant negative effect. And the F statistic from the output above, it is known that F count is 3.875. The value of F table can be found in the distribution table F with a significance level of 0.05, where the F1 is number of variables minus 1 or 4 minus 1 is 3, and the F2 is NK minus 1 is 184. Then he has 2.65. This it can be concluded that F count more than F table and significance, which means that digital literacy, learning media, and online learning are simultaneously or jointly related to student cognitive learning outcomes. And from the output above, it can be seen that R square or F2 in the model summary table is 0.060. It can be concluded that the correlation between the variables of digital literacy, learning media, and online learning together with student learning outcomes variable is 60%, while the rate is influenced by other factors not examined by researchers. And the discussion based on the result of data collection technique and the classical assumption tests, it can be said that the test results are considered to meet the requirements for calculating the hypothesis testing stage and coefficients of determinant analysis. The first is the effect of digital literacy on student cognitive learning outcomes. Based on the t-test, there is the count value of the digital literacy variable 0.284 with a significance value more than 0.05, which means H0 is accept and HA is reject. This means that there is no influence between the level of digital literacy and student cognitive learning outcomes. This means that each one is accept and each one is reject. The cause of this hypothesis is reject because there is no significant influence of digital literacy on learning outcomes, because there are aspects that dominate this aspect is effective communication through digital, where other aspects have not affect digital literacy or learning outcomes. Digital media literacy has positive and negative benefits depending on how the scale of utilizing, producing, and analyzing in individuals are also explained by Wiener that digital media literacy has three paradoxes that can provide destructive risks for users, namely the paradox of intelligence, paradox of lifespan, paradox of technology, and democracy. In this case, the level of digital literacy cannot be used as a benchmark for students in determining their learning outcomes. The second is the influence of learning media on student cognitive learning outcomes. Based on the t-test, the t-count value of the learning media is 2.209 with a significance value less than 0.05, which means HO is reject. The value of the regression coefficient on the learning media variable is 0.010, which means that if the learning media increased by 1, the learning media will also increase by 0.010. The X2 coefficient is positive, which means that there is positive and significant influence between learning media and learning outcomes. This shows that the higher the level of effectiveness and quality of learning media, the higher the student learning outcomes. The third is the effect of online learning on student cognitive learning outcomes. Based on the t-test, the t-count of online learning is minus 3.154 with a significance value of less than 0.05, which means HO is reject. The value of the regression coefficient on the learning media variable is 0.00h, which means that if the learning media increased by 1, the learning media will also increase by 0.008. The X2 coefficient is negative, which means that there is a negative and significant effect between learning media and learning outcomes. This shows that the lower the effectiveness of online learning, the negative effect on student learning outcomes. The influence of digital literacy, learning media, and online learning on student cognitive learning outcomes. Based on the calculation of the f-test obtained at significance value of 0.010 less than 0.05, which means that HO is reject and HA is accept. Therefore, it can be concluded that digital literacy, learning media, and online learning have a simultaneous effect on student learning outcomes of the Faculty of Ekonomi, State University of Jakarta. Then the result of the calculation of the coefficients of determinants has an value of 0.60 or 60%. This means that all independent variables in the study, namely digital literacy, learning media, and online learning, can simultaneously affect students' learning outcomes by 60%, while the remaining 40% are influenced by other factors that are not investigated in the study. And the conclusion in the study is digital literacy has no significant effect on student learning outcomes, and learning media has a positive effect on student learning outcomes, and online learning has a negative effect on student learning outcomes. There are a significant relationship between digital literacy, learning media, online learning, and student learning outcomes. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.